Hello and welcome back to our share space where I share information that I enjoy, things that I am passionate about. Um, so, I was talking with someone and they were trying to keep up with one of the astrology videos I made, and I never even took the time to think, if I'm teaching people who are new to astrology how to look at a birth chart, not everybody knows what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna make this video about symbols, houses, the zodiacs, and the aspects, and give a very basic information about that. This is, I'm I already recorded all of the images that I'm gonna use in this video. So I'm gonna try, excuse me, I'm gonna try to keep up on time. So that's why I'm gonna keep things very basic, and plus that's helpful for you anyways. You don't need a flood of information from years of study and practice in this. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll know a little easier how to navigate your own birth chart, okay? So, like I said, it's good to have books and information. I'm kind of a visual learner, so when I was studying astrology, it took me a few different teachers, and let me tell you, I got really frustrated at a couple of them. Ones that seemed to make it stick and really boom, okay, now I get it, right? Were Santos Bonacci for Western astrology and Victakara for Vedic astrology or Zodiacal. Now, I studied all kinds of different astrologies: Mayan, Celtic, Ecliptic, Vedic, Western, a lot. So, what I find works best is Zodiacal. And I'm going to talk about why I go into nakshatras, but just the basics. So, I recommend this. I recommend that you follow up with your studies, because I don't claim to be an astrology teacher. I'm just sharing information that I found helpful. Just like I tell a lot of people, I used to tell people who study the OTO, Golden Dawn, and Thelema, the shortcuts. Here's, after all of the stuff that Aleister Crowley's talking about, and you decipher half of it, here's the gist of what I'm telling you, right? And then when I got down to the basics, it was just following Solomon's grimoires. Made more sense. So I like to share information that is condensed, right? In other words, I'm an alchemist, right? So I like to share the finished product and how I simplified it, right? Instead of all of the extensive practice, I want to give you something that can just help you, because maybe your path isn't an alchemist, but you are interested in birth charts. Maybe you are interested in alchemy, but you may not want to study from books. So things that helped me is, once I learned shortcuts, I would just key up Google images of things that I liked, and I would use those in certain things and references and keep mental notes. I used to draw a lot of graphs. I loved to draw graphs. I would draw graphs to do readings off of. I would compile astrology, lunar phases, number sequence, the chakras, the Ogham, the body, and everything on one big chart, and tarot cards, right, on one big chart. And then I would divinate off of it, right? I made this really cool elf wheel. This is what we call it. Elf wheel for astrology and tarot cards and everything. But I passed that down to a person that I felt could use it very well. So by the end of this, you should have a little bit better understanding of what I'm talking about. Hopefully. If not, put comments in there. I do not mind. I'm not doing this for any specific reason, just to pass on information, simplified, to help you with whatever you're working through. Maybe it does ignite a passion for your path in astrology, right? I'll tell you personally, after a couple of years of doing astrology readings for people, I got burnt on it. It was too much energy for me, pulling everyone's information, so I prefer to use it for other things, like following planets, keeping up with, like people watch news, I fucking look at charts. I could be in the middle, away from civilization, 100%, not see one newspaper, one tabloid, one social media post, one broadcast, none of this. And as long as I can follow the charts, I'm gonna know what's going on in life and why it's affecting me through astrology. So that's why I like it. So stay tuned. We're gonna go through some short videos. It's 8, 16 and 16 is 32. Roughly 32 minutes on top of this intro. So hopefully this is helpful for you, and I'll get to it. Okay, so let's get started. So when you pull up a chart, this is what you see, right? And you're probably like, what the heck am I looking at? I don't know what this wheel with lines and squiggles and symbols means. So we're gonna dive into some simple understandings of what we're looking at here. I'm using my phone as an easy reference to show you symbols. Here we go. These are planets. The symbol for the sun. The sun in your chart represents your personal or your inner personal purpose. Inner drive, energy, the source of will, your motivation, your confidence, strength. And now we're on the moon. Okay, moon is like your intuition, express your purpose, your activities, emotions, attitude, habits, general moon, and how you adapt, mother instincts. Feminine, moon, and this is what I mean about having a hard time keeping up with the timer. Masculine, sun. Mind, soul. Next, we're looking at Mercury. This is how you're always going to communicate in your chart. It represents your intellectual mind, how you speak to others, what you enjoy speaking, and how you communicate amongst relationships with reason and logical thinking. Mercurial mind. Venus. Everyone knows that Venus represents love and beauty and sensual pleasures and happiness and finances, what you attract to yourself and why, how you like to earn money, but it also shows your values and morals and higher education. Mars. Mars is very active, another masculine planet. This is your ability to take actions, what your desires are, your aggressions, what drives you, how you go about after values in your life, your survival instincts, and where you concentrate your energy. This is the go-getter, leader. Jupiter. Jupiter is very expansive. I like to call it Santa Claus because it's like where Venus shows you what you want, Jupiter is like, here, let me give it to you. It's how you process your horizons, like how you expand on things you like to do. It's good luck and good fortune and optimism, confidence and pride, masculine. Now, I'm going to put down here really quick. If you see a little R next to any symbols like this in your chart, this means retrograde. So this would be the opposite energy or more intense energy, depending on the aspects. But we're keeping this basic, so all right, let's move along. Jupiter, Santa. Here we go with Saturn, constrictive. Saturn is very structured. And when we talk about higher learning, Saturn is the teacher. It's the father figure. It's about societal rules, sticking to your responsibilities. It shows your fears and limitations in your life so that you can learn to face them and get over them. Uranus, your individual and uniqueness, intuitive and creative expressions. This is your inspiration or rebellion in a chart. It can help you be independent and original. And it's like Cyclops energy. Neptune. Neptune is very dreamy, but can also be delusional. It's very key to like spiritual vision, imagination, creativity, psychic abilities, empathic abilities, how you go beyond this material world and glamour what you see in a meditative mind. It can be negative by feeding illusions. And here we go. Now we're on Pluto. Transformative energy. The transformative energy is like making you face things or seeing the underlying truth of societal norms. It's something that is like, it gives you a good deal to organize and deal with people in your life. All right. Chiron. Chiron is like the wounded healer. This represents your destiny in a chart and your past life information. Like this can be some things that you're trying to work out in this life that are lingering from another. North Node. This is the seeker. It's like your search engine. This is the AI or Google search in your brain. What you set your pleasure and enjoyment on in life, North Node is going to help you go get it. It's like if you train your algorithm in your phone to like certain things, it's the algorithm that continues to bring you those reflections. South Node, this is your inner self, your spiritual beliefs. Also another past life planetary symbol. It represents your inner knowing, how you retract from society, your privacy, and depth of your soul. Ketu. Lilith. Lilith is about your hidden fears that are supposed to be brought out so you can express yourself. Lilith has a lot to do with repressed sexual hidden energy, that taboos or desires, secret things. And these are the four corners of your chart. The ascendant, or what people call the rising, is what's on the horizon in the east of your chart. Descendant, what's on the horizon in the west in your chart. Oh, now you're going to go slow. Master chart and embolic. Master chart is like the positive energy. Really the most beneficial angle. These are the north, south, east, and west of your chart. And to be honest with you, I forgot what embolic is, and I didn't take any notes. I never really look at embolic, and I probably should. So, these are planets, symbols on your chart, what you're looking at. The planets are within you. Sun, soul, moon. If you're looking for past life, you're going to want to go to Saturn. Wait. Past life, you're going to want to go to South Node, Chiron, Saturn, and Lilith to find out what is plaguing you from your past life. These things, depending on their alignments, but that's another video. That's another whole nother lesson. We're doing basics just to help you understand a little better about your chart. So let's get to the next one. This is gonna be the zodiac signs 1 through 12, first house through 12th house. They won't always mean that your first house is going to be Aries and your second house. That's why the numbers are on your chart. They move every day and every few hours, as a matter of fact. So first we're going into Aries, first house energy. Active, ambition, assertiveness, competitive, courageous, creative, enthusiastic, extroverted, free, sovereign, individualistic, but can be naive, self-centered, headstrong, impatient, pride, and quick-tempered. And here is Taurus, second house. Taurus is very cautious, conventional, determined, efficient, industrious, introverted, loving, material, patient, persistent, can be lazy, self-indulgent, and stubborn. Jealousy is big with Tauruses. Third house, Gemini. Gemini is very adaptable, articulate. They're clever, they like to talk, they're curious, dexterous, flexible. They can be restless. They're sociable, talkative, and witty, but they can have cunning, tendencies to gossip, nervousness, and tension. Where are we now? I think I just gave myself space here. Fourth house, Cancer. Cancers are calm, patient, domestic, very introverted, love their home, intuitive but moody, very quiet and protective of their energy. They're sensitive, sympathetic, but they can sulk, be touchy, and tend to be a bit unstable. The moon is not fixed in any way. It's very, very fluid. It's the fastest moving planet. Leo, fifth house. Ambitious, authoritative, competitive, confident, creative. Sometimes Leo will have a little circle on the squiggle. I'm just drawing that here now. Leos can be very empathic. They can be very conceited. They can be excessive, but they're good for leaders, living in the limelight, and honorable. They're very extroverted, outgoing types. Fifth house energy. So I know I gave myself extra time on Leo. So when I start showing you the houses in your chart, they're always going to be based off of these characteristics, no matter what sign is in that house. It's that sign combined with these energies. So next we have Virgo. Virgos are very analytical. They can be dedicated and efficient. They're healthy individuals. They love to help people. They're introverted, logical, practical, precise. punctual, pure, and responsible, but tend to be fussy and overcritical and have a lot of worry on their mind. That was Virgo, the 6th house. Now we're going to get into Libra. See the symbol? Libras can be a bit aesthetics. They love artistic, balanced information. They're charming and cooperative. They're outgoing and flirtatious. They have great ideals, but they can be indecisive. Their kindness helps them kind of navigate through life. They're refined and sociable, but indecisive and spend money a lot. Libra is 7th house energy. Where are we now? We are now in Scorpios. Scorpios are competitive, courageous, determined, forceful, introverted, yet magnetic. They're mysterious and powerful, and they love to probe. They can be a tad bit possessive with their resources. They're secretive, very strong-willed, jealous, and suspicious of many. Now we get into Sagittarius. Sagittarius is going to be casual, direct, enthusiastic. They look for the future. They're friendly. They're honest. They can be very funny and idealistic. And I tend to disagree with loyalty, but it says they can be loyal and outspoken. They love philosophy. They tend to get restless. They're talkative. They love to travel, exaggerate. They could be irresponsible and not sticking to things. Okay, here we go. Capricorn. Capricorn is structured energy, ambitious, conservative, disciplined, methodical, preserving, political, realistic, responsible, rigid, serious, thrifty, money seekers, cling to status and power or are good in status and power, prefer to be alone, and their negative traits can be frustrated, misery, and pessimistic. Aquarius is next. I have to write notes so I don't go ahead of myself. And then, anyways, I think we're on Aquarius now. Yes, Aquarius. Aquariuses can be friendly. They love to work with others. They're very individualist. They're intellectual, logical, and perceptive, but very rebellious. They love to be unique and unpredictable. They have a visionary mind, but they tend to be eccentric, erratic, impersonal, and rebel. And the final one is Pisces. Pisces can be very dreamy in the other worlds a lot. They're artistic. They love to give. Giving is their love language. They're creative. They're dedicated. They tend to be humble and imaginative. They give good impressions with their ideas. They're very introverted people, tapped into the mystical. They love peaceful situations, but can be very serious. They're spiritual and timid, careless. They love to escape situations and tend to be indecisive as well. So these are the zodiac symbols. On the left, you will see what the symbols look like. And on the right is the names to them. When you are looking at your chart, these are also the houses we will go over, I think, in the next video. Okay, in this one, we're going to get into the aspects. Now, there are 30 degrees in each house. That's a house. First house. That's the ascendant. We talked about that before. And you see these little lines? I'm going to screenshot and show you. There are 30 degrees in here. So depending on where your planets are placed in here, this is why I refer to nakshatras, because they give a deeper, in-depth detail of what the energy of that house zodiac and fixed star constellation are combining energies with that planet. So you take the description of the planet, the description of the house, and the description of the zodiac, and depending on what degree, the placement of the nakshatra, all of these give you a very detailed combination of what that planet's energy is doing. Here's the little degrees. There's 10 in between each of those lines. 10, 20, 30. 30. Okay. Delete screenshot. And let's get into this. You see this? First house, Capricorn. Second house. This is what I'm talking about. First house, Aries. Second house, Taurus. Third house, Gemini. Fourth house, Cancer. These are going to determine the energy of the placement in the chart based off of the descriptions of the zodiac wheel. Okay, so 12 houses in all, 12 being Pisces. Now, these little lines here, these blue lines you see, blue and red lines, what do they mean? This is Western. Western is based off of as if the solar system never moved. North, south, east, west. The difference between zodiacal is we are degrees off. You see those other lines? I'm right there. That is where we actually are. There's a long story about that. The people who got the scrolls from the ancient teachers of astrology did not know that every 100 years or so, the zodiac wheel falls back a degree. So that crisscross you see now, how it's off of north, south, east, and west, is what we really are. These are the nakshatras. Oh, you know what? This isn't an aspect video. See how Pluto retrograde is right there on the cusp. Cusp meaning it's on the border of two nakshatras. You can have the cusp of two zodiacs too. How you'll determine that is if the house is in two zodiacs at once. Then you combine the energies to understand fully. So just because your sun sign says that you're this zodiac, it doesn't always mean that's who you truly resonate with. So this is why we look into astrology, because it just helps, check it out. See the there's usually 3 different nakshatras in each zodiac. These are lunar mansions or fixed star constellations, and they give a very descriptive understanding of what your planet is doing in that energy. And did we go into aspects? Oh, right here, see? Pluto, 10 degrees, 6 seconds, Capricorn. I'm going to highlight that. So the placement of the degree in each zodiac tells the energy that is feeding that house. So that house's energy is determining what you're experiencing at that moment. The zodiac represents what that house is what that zodiac sign is teaching you, the planet, in each house. I got thrown off a little bit because I thought this was the aspect video. So you just find your planet, go to the aspects in the chart, find what degree they are, look at what nakshatra they're in, and combine all of those to get the detailed description of what that planet's doing in there. Pluto Pluto retrograde is always forcing you to face things that you have to overcome. What am I doing here now? I think I'm just playing around with it. So, in this one, the first house has Pluto and the moon on the ascendant, the moon on the ascendant in Capricorn. I am trying to figure out what I'm doing here. Remind you, I had to record these before and then voice over them after. So I hit voiceover thinking we were doing aspects. But I'm talking about the degrees of each planet. So when you're looking up a chart, the planet symbols that I gave you before, you want to see what house your sun is in. What degree is it at? What nakshatra is that aligned in? And now I'm just drawing an elemental star because you are the 5 stars. See how the spirit is in the core. The head, the 2 arms, and 2 legs. Earth, the bottom. It would be my left, your right. Air, the top. Fire, the bottom right, or left of your side. Blah, blah, blah. So now we're on aspects. I went off the chart in the last one, but at least now you know about degrees. Here are the aspects. Let me get an idea of where I started here so I can follow along in my notes. Aspects are the red and blue lines you see in the center of the wheel, right? This is how you know what planet is connected to what other planet and how the combined energies are working with you or against you or blocking you, etc., etc. So those lines you see scribbled in the middle of your birth chart, these are connections. How planets are working with each other in different houses to give you different lessons, different energies. If you're checking the charts like I do for what's the current energies of the day, these lines are going to tell you how the energy of the world is experiencing today. But you're looking at it like this, like, what is this? It's too many lines, right? It can be very confusing. I get it. So we're going to go into this. Aspects. We start with conjunct. That is when planets are in the same house, working together. You see, the same house. Okay, 0, they're in the same house. You see over here on these circles with the line, a circle with 1 line, meaning the planets are together in one spot. The bottom is opposition. Here I will show you an example. I think I screenshot here. No, I don't. Zoom in. So if 2 planets are in this house, they are conjunct. They're working together. Closer they are, the deeper they're working together. If they're opposite, they're usually working against each other, right? So that's how you tell conjunct, opposite. Same house or directly across. Next, we have trines, 120 degrees or a third of the wheel. If you look at the wheel, there's a triangle. We go over here. It's usually about 4 houses from wherever the planet you're working with is, and you'll see that connection. On the aspects, when I go to that and type it up and you see the triangle, this is what I'm talking about. They're 120 degrees from the planet we are looking at. Trines represent, oh my goodness, shows your creative self-expression and brings ease and comforts for your vision and insight. Now we're on squares. Square is pretty easy. It's 90-degree angles, 4 corners, right? Squares show Stumbling blocks or building blocks, depending on how you're handling things. They show you what you are really like inside. And like I said, they're usually completely square. So if you're working with a planet, 90 degrees from that planet is going to be whatever it's connected to squared. That's what I mean when I say find the square in your aspects. This is what this block is today. Like we're working with Mercury and Lilith squared, which is talking about having a block and communicating your inner desires, that once you learn to communicate them, they actually empower you. So squares show blocks, and depending on how you handle these blocks is going to determine whether you empower yourself or stay hindered. But it's your inside motives. Now what am I looking at here? I can't see the screen very well. I think I'm just doing... It's too small on my end. So I think I'm just showing you here, like if you got one planet and it's trine another, or squared. One planet. If you're going to read planets like this, if you see them connected, this planet would be squared with this planet. You read that first. Then that energy is trine from here to here. Then you read the trine. Then you read the sextile, right? Sextile energy is opportunities for production and success. It's your attitude and being activated, your mental attitude being activated. And you have to activate your sextiles in order for them to work. Sextile, 60 degrees. That's that symbol. And that's what it means. It's 6. It's divided into 6 in your chart. So over here, wait, what am I doing? Over here. I think I'm going to show you the sextiles now. There we go. Yeah. So this planet, start what planet you're looking at. Go over to the sextile, which is usually like 2 houses over, no more, or the second house from whatever planet you're working with. And that's a sextile energy. But you can easily understand these by going to the aspects and looking at what is lined up with the planet you want to work with. Over here, I think I don't really use the semi-sextile too much. Injunctions. I stick to things really basic, so I'm not really going to go into that because I don't think you really want to dive into the depths of this. You just want to learn your planets and learn your zodiacs and learn your chart a little better. And this is a basic introduction to all this. And besides, it's really hard to keep up with the recording anyways. But if we look in that one I didn't cross out, I can't see what I'm looking at. That's all for higher education purposes, enlightenment, You want to further your education on that, take a master class, get some books, study. Let's work in a group. Let's dive into it, communicate. Higher education. We're just doing basics today. And I think here I go to see the star I was drawing in the middle, biquintal, 144. That's why I kept drawing the star. Elements. 144 represents being connected to all things in the universe and communicating with them at all times, whether you're awake, asleep, talking, distracted. These 144 is being in union with all things divine. People call it the chosen one, but what that really means is that spirits actually chose to work with you because you are working with them. So here we're going to put into action how to use this information. I especially, aside from using it for birth chart readings, I like to pull the energy of the current planetary alignments to pull my tarot readings off of. This keeps me from just projecting maybe hidden insecurities of my own, or just going off of assumption of what I believe or what the current gossip in my community is, and really dive into like the facts. So as you see here, I typed in the date, the time, hit the chart, and then we're looking at it. I pulled a card so I wasn't biased to see what planet to work with. It was Mercury. So we're looking at the chart. Now that you know the symbols and the signs and everything, if you want to pull an accurate tarot card reading, this would be the channeled information from the astrology. This would give you a very accurate focus to pull your cards from and keep you from getting caught into the loop of confusion, misalignment. Instead of, it just taps you into a divine energy. It gives you a basis for your reading. I combine all this together and pull my cards. And these are the secrets behind what I'm going to pull a reading off of today. This is also how I would want to pull a reading off of you. So we've got Mercury and Fortune in Cancer. Fortune, I forgot to tell you, it means your good luck, positive things that are coming to you. And it is opposite the moon in Capricorn, right? 12th house. I didn't put Pluto conjunct because it's kind of far enough away to where it doesn't count. 6th house, opposite 12th house. Notice that opposite always directly across. Okay, so what I'm doing now while I click over to nakshatras. Mercury and Fortune and Astrology under Cancer means you're going to communicate on some good fortune, spiritual devotion that hits home. Unconscious, the moon, 12th house, the moon, or unconscious thoughts in Capricorn that can bring solidarity from the unconscious into reality and make building blocks. And I believe now I'm just writing down my notes. Okay, so it's not, I'm learning here, trying to keep up with the recordings and give the information. So what I typed down was Mercury, or what I wrote down is Mercury conjunct Fortune in Cancer. Mercury working with Fortune in Cancer under Astrology, 6th house energy. Opposite moon in Capricorn under Dhanishta, 12th house energy. That's what I wrote down in my notebook, okay? Because just for purposes of this video, because you're going to type that into your search engine and pull up the interpretation, copy it and paste it to memos. So if you want to learn about what people are talking about today, Mercury. If you want to learn about like the main motivation of the day, then you would pull the sun. If you want to learn about emotions and attitudes and intuition or adaptability, you pull the moon. You would look at the moon. If you want to talk about love and values and money and attraction, then you would talk about Venus. If you want to do a reading on what actions to take, or what should you show courage today, you would pull Mars. If you want to see where you can expand your horizons, or where good fortune and luck and optimism is coming, you would pull Jupiter. If you want to learn more about structured responsibility and rules, how to overcome fears and obstacles, then you would pull Saturn. Where are your limitations? You want to learn about transformations and what's changing in your society today, you would pull Pluto. Neptune and Uranus, they just kind of, I leave those as for, I don't pull tarot card readings off of those. So we're pulling up Moon, or Mercury, conjunct Moon. Mercury conjunct Fortune, opposite Moon energy here. Just copy and paste all this shit, right? Copy it all down, place it in a memo, go through it and read it. See how that fits your understanding. How does it fit in your life? Where does it resonate? What are your interests in seeing about the, like most tarot talk is, what's the T? Communication, Mercury. And bring it over to a memo pad. Boom. Just open up a new one. Paste. Boom. Here you go. Take some notes. After you go through all this information, that is the divine messages in the sky pertaining to communicating of the unconscious intuitive levels. Mercury, Moon. Mercury opposite Moon. How are those opposing each other? How is communication going against the current topics, actual emotions, right? So most of the time people talk completely opposite about how they feel. This is showing an unconscious block in communications in your current reality. Now you pull some tarot cards. I'm looking directly at the Hangman. Okay, so the video was a little longer than I said in the beginning, right? But if you followed along this far, you now have a little more basic information of what you're looking at in astrology. So you can use that information to get an understanding of your birth chart. I didn't go into nakshatras because there's 29 of them. The video is already getting long. But those are the degrees, right? The degrees lining in each zodiac. There's 30 of them. Just because is like, let's just, I one time did this. I put tarot cards. It's the Golden Dawn Tarot Timing Astrology, right? And there's actually, I took a class on this, and it involved drawing graphs and yada yada, connecting things, taught you everything about astrology and tarot, how to combine them, how to use that for things like the stock market, when to invest, when to pull out, when to buy a home, what's a good time to study, what's a good time for activity, when can you plant fruit, blah blah blah, everything, right? It was detailed, really good. So nakshatras are kind of like this, timing and tarot astrology. I'm just gonna go with Cancer. Cancer was the High Priestess and Chariot. High Priestess at the bottom, Chariot at the top. Then above them was 3 cards. The Two of Cups energy, the first 10 degrees were the Two of Cups energy. The second 10 degrees, 10 through 20, was the Three of Cups energy. And the final 10 degrees was the Four of Cups energy. And then above that, it was a combination of, don't quote me on this, but I know it was the Queen of Cups above, and I believe the Knight of Swords next to it, but I'm not sure. And then above that was Ace of Wands, Page of Wands. Okay, so that's kind of how astrology works. High Priestess with the Chariot, right? These are the house energy. Very intuitive and outgoing, right? Or no, High Priestess, the house energy, the Chariot, the zodiac energy, and then the 30 degrees, Two of Cups. Two of Cups is the first 10 degrees, very emotional reciprocity, deep bonds, nurturing connections. Three of Cups, usually more on the partying side or enjoyable side, pleasure seeking, right? Hedonistic. And then the final 10 degrees, Four of Cups, right? Kind of, well, I've been through a lot. The Three of Cups are empty now, the hangover energy of Cancer, right? And if you kind of combine those with nakshatras, kind of makes sense. Pushan's very tender, or Pusha. I always say Pushan, that's a god. That's not the nakshatra. Pusha is the gentle deer, knows the way, yada yada. So this is why it's important that where the planet is, on the degrees, in what house, what zodiac, aligned with what's across or squared or trine or whatever, can help you learn the current topics. So I do this in all the time for tarot, right? And it really takes you out of the tabloid tarot type of energy. And nothing against that, but for me, I'm seeking to share information of psychic messages that I feel. Right now we're working with alchemy of the Goetia and Notoria, so we're sticking to Venus, what the alignments are, but usually I'll get dreams, psychic messages, apparitions in all things in reality, like trees coming to life, clouds coming to life, seeing figures in fire, walls coming to life. What I mean by that is, like, you may see a wall, I may see a wall, but I will see something come out. Most of the times it's a face. Then I'll hear a message. Then I'll understand a little deeper of, like, what planet could this be representing? Or if it's a face and I hear no message, then I'm gonna go look for Mercury in a reading, because Spirit is telling me I am present, but it doesn't speak or send me a downloaded message. So I know to look in the astrology for Mercury so that I can find the alignments, connect the dots, take all the notes, put it together, then pull my tarot. And like as we were going through with Mercury, opposite the moon, right? So just for basic, because I know this is a long video, Mercury, communications. In Astrology, right? Or in Cancer, home, nurture, feelings, emotions, right? Under Astrology, with good fortune. 6th house energy can talk about sexual relationships. We're working with Venus. Opposite 12th house energy, imagination, moon too. Moon is in there, so intuition and unconscious, right? 12th house, more imaginative than solid ground. But guess what? It's in Capricorn. So the message here is Mercury, the communications of society right now, could be going in depth about wanting more fortune for their homes and their families and their communications. And it's opposite unconscious energy, where there's too much unknowing, and it's calling on Capricorn to bring some structure into that opposition, right? Because they're opposite each other. They're not working well. So you ever notice in reality people speak completely opposite of their true feelings? That's what this Mercury moon opposition was talking about. And I was looking right at the Hangman. So then I would say, okay, Mercury, in my mind, what are we talking? Look at happy families, people wanting celebrations of completion. We need different perspectives to understand things better. Probably at a stagnant place in your life where you're like, you know what? I'm gonna have to look at this from a different angle, because that's what you want, that's what you're communicating, but unconsciously you need to see it in reality. Something is not connecting the dots. So let's pull some tarot really quick. This is how I give really accurate readings. And I don't mind sharing it because it doesn't take anything away from me. It lights another candle, a lighter that's flamed, giving flame to a light that is producing gas. Creates two lights, right? A candle that's burning lights another candle, right? So here we go. Look, enlightenment. Okay, where we were, oh, well, I'm not getting it. I need to see a different perspective. Here comes some enlightenment. Oh, now I see. Because the divine has shown me the alchemy of how to blend these combinations together and work in my favor in spirit, and in reality, to brighten my day, illuminate my soul. Angels are blending energies together to create the Philosopher's Stone. I mean, that's not the Philosopher's Stone, that's still, whatever. It's a triangle. It's almost like the symbol of the Philosopher's Stone, of the Tetragrammaton, which is, no, now I'm getting into too much. Magical beings, the Notoria, are bringing to light unconscious things. Okay. Mercury, opposite moon. I get a lot of people asking me sometimes to explain. There's a lot to explain. King of Cups, today's therapist, a very emotional, intelligent, wise person who holds their emotions within, but not in a negative way. You keep stuff to yourself so as not to inflict emotional poison, but rather with the emotional intelligence you have, you listen and observe, let it settle in. One thing this card represents someone who will not answer right away. And if it's demanded to answer right away, we'll just retract and say, well, fuck it, I'm not giving you an answer. Because they're wise. They want to sit on it. They want to think on it. They want to process it. They want to evaluate the depth of what they just seen, because they've been through some shit. They've mastered their emotions, and now they're on top of it. Knight of Cups, because they lead their life by their heart. Their heart is on their sleeve, but they're mysterious, right? So this is talking about some mature person who's emotionally wise could be sending a message out to another that has to do with matters of the heart. This is very pure. Cups represent renewal, cleansing, purifying, healing energy, changing perspectives. Someone had a broken heart. There's actually what this card means is your thoughts are penetrating your mind too much. So someone is all in their head about their feelings, and it's making them feel heartbroken. It's nothing but rainy days on this person's situation. they don't know because this emotionally intelligent, kind of closed off, very to themselves type of a person, which is more mature in my understanding than people who are all out there and all over the fucking place, right? Those people just, they spin my head around so fast that I have to pause, reflect, and take 3 days to walk in nature, ground, cleanse, Reiki heal, process, go through all the pinball machines that I went through. So they don't know that this person, this reserved, mature, healed, healthy person is sending them this cup of love. This information, when you receive it, is going to show you a solid foundation, a solid commitment, a personal properties, blending of families, communities. This could be, I don't like the word twin flame because I believe twin flame is your higher self in union with your avatar, but it could be the 1111 twin flame connection that is sending out this information. And you just got to take a step back from the busyness of the city to see this coming in, or just look over the chaotic world. Get out of your head. So you see how angelic divine messages are coming to heal a situation that felt like it was dead, to pull you out of your delusional fantasies and get you out of heartbreak and put you into love, care, nurture, abundance, plenty to eat, plenty to go around, luxurious comfort, land, properties. You're going to be living a good life. So that's what I have for you. I know it's a long video, but if you stuck along, you'll understand now how to use astrology with tarot for your, let's just say, questions on your mind. Maybe you do see apparitions. Maybe you do get channeled downloads. Maybe you know when Spirit's talking to you. Or maybe you're someone who's just got a lot of questions, right? If you followed along this far and kept up with it and kind of got an understanding and then solid in action, I'm glad to have shared this with you. You've got some good news coming. Your Empress energy is being brought to you. So, take care. Like, subscribe, share. Comment if you want. Ask questions. And I'll see you next time.